Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Talk. Speaking of welcoming, I'm very pleased to welcome back to the show. She is an award-winning poet, an author, a blogger, and an entrepreneur, Linda Brummet. Welcome back, Linda. Oh, sorry, Lily.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, thank you for having me back on your program. I always love coming and being a guest on your show. It's always really cool to see your face and chat with you again, too. So, hi to your audience. My gosh, so much has been going on since I've been here before. Really excited to talk about our poetry and everything else today. So,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And again, apologies for calling you Linda. My God,
That's fun.
I tell you, sometimes the brain just does not function. So you use poetry or have used poetry as a way of healing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it started way back, from well, I grew up in like a kind of like a broken home. And so my mom was married, 5 times. We moved a lot. We had a lot of upheavals, some abuse, some neglect happening in the family. All of us kids were on our own, very young. My brothers when they were 16, and myself before I was 14. So you can kind of see the bit of the turmoil that it came from. And because the pen felt really comfortable to me, it was my outlet for just purging all the thoughts and all the turmoil that I was feeling onto the paper. And I don't know why, but I just always felt better. I often burned the papers afterwards because I didn't want anyone to see them. And it wasn't until much later in life that I started, keeping them. People started seeing them, giving me praise on them, encouraging me to enter contests. And then it grew from there. But it took a long time before I had the confidence of saying, here, everyone, look at my naked self on this page. And go ahead and criticize me. You had to come from a place of strength to be able to do that. It took a while for me to get there.
I can imagine you feel so vulnerable, right?
Right. Yeah, you always do, especially when it's freshly written. I can read stuff that was written during a healing from a trauma or something like that, and I can refeel that trauma, but you feel it from a distance. You still feel it, the wound still aches, but you're coming at it from a different place. When you've just written something and then occasionally go ahead and release it out or read it on air or something like that, that is where I'm at my most vulnerable because it's too fresh, and it's just too raw for me. Yeah.
Is your book Poetic Wanderings, is that your latest work?
Yeah. So there's actually 3 books in our poetry series. We call our poetry series Playing with Words because to me, that's what poetry is, not just healing and all of that, but also to be able to, like, as an artist, just get really creative with the words, play with rhythms, play with wording connections, studying different eras and pulling in some aspects of that language into the poetry, or trying different styles of poetry out. And it can be really just really fun. It's like kind of like having a blank canvas that you get to paint with words on, and yet say something with the poetry. For me, it's really important to have something to say.
And you
Uh, you know, yeah.
break the rules or make your own rules, right?
And well, you got to know the rules, and then you go ahead and you break all of them. It's kind of like art, right? You study the rules, and then you throw those rules right out the window, and you just go ahead and start doing your own thing. And that's how you succeed and how you get attention, because you're doing something original. You're not following what has been done over and over and over again. You're doing something original. You're saying something in a unique way as an artist, whatever your medium is, that touches people and affects people and helps them process what they're going through in life or have gone through in life. And it affects them in such astounding ways, how they interpret it, how they bring it in and make it match with what they're going through. I find that a fascinating thing to witness.
Yeah, for sure. When you were talking about poetic wanderings, you talk about we. Who are we?
Okay, well, Dave and I, we're always a team. So no matter what gets published or released, or even when he's performing and he's the one who's on stage, I'm the one behind the scenes, helping to make all that possible. So it's always a we, we're a team. We work together on pretty much everything. So the first book of poetry in that series was pretty much all my writing. And it tells basically the story of my healing journey from about the age of like 18 into mid 20s ish. And the second book is more mature. It talks about caregiving and grief and, long-term relationships and some of our celebrating many of our loves as well. There's a lot of positivity in that book where we talk about, nature and, what gardening means to us, and a variety of other things are in there too. The power of music, kind of having fun, poking fun at culture, current trends, little things like that are in there. So that's a joy for us. That one, we collaborated together. Lots, about at least half of it is Dave's writing in that one. The third book is actually Dave's father's lifetime collection. It's called Poetic Wanderings, and it's our way of honoring his lifetime collection of poetry. There's like, I don't know, 370 poems or something like that in that book. There's a lot of poems in that book, but my gosh, it's just like watching him grow and develop as a writer and seeing his lifetime perspective from his generational view, what his life experiences were like. And I think in reading the poetry alone, inheriting his collection and just studying and reading that poetry, I learned a lot as a poet, but I also learned a heck of a lot more about my father-in-law. I felt very much more in touch with him, very much more understanding of him posthumous, after his death, right? So in a way that was sad, but in a way I felt closer to him because of that. It explained things to me, why he was like that, why he may have reacted or felt that way about certain things, and so that brought me closer to him, which is one of the powerful things about keeping your writings and passing it on to your children. But because we're writers, we wanted to honor him. And so we included that in our poetry series. So it's the latest book in that series, the third book in the series. And it's all his writings, except for, the intro, outro, the cover, all of that is us. But the content is all Frank Brummet's.
Right. Now, if people want to purchase this book, this series of poetry, what can they do?
Yeah. Well, you just go to any Amazon that serves your country, and amazon.ca.com or what have you, and just look up Lillian and Dave Brummet, and you'll see our Amazon page from there. And it'll list all 7 of our current books, but we have 3 more coming up in our publication schedule. So one has been delayed in publication because we just moved. So all of the, process of moving and settling in just disrupted everything.
Yes.
But we're getting back on track, and that one should be out this early winter, 2024. And then probably mid 2025, we have a second book coming out, or another book coming out, and that is the second book in the Purple Snowflake marketing series. It's becoming a series at that point. And the third book is actually a backyard garden guidebook, and it includes 3 generations of experiences and advice in there. So an education that we've all undergone, and all of that is included in there. So that's going to be a bit of a larger project, a personal bucket list to complete. So that's our upcoming schedule.
Very good. Now, as a blogger, what do you blog about?
Okay, so Brummet's Conscious Blog and Drummet with Brummet are our 2 blogs. So the Drummet with Brummet is obviously for the music end of our business, the music side of our business, and it shares tips about, like, what do you do when you're on tour? How do you handle your gear? What's a safe way to unpack? How do you set up on stage? Different aspects of, like, behind the scenes of running a band or being a member of a band and the inner dynamics thereof, or, recording, getting gigs, all of that kind of stuff is there. We share our favorite musics. Dave writes articles for it, sharing some of his skills and experiences. We have all kinds of plans for that blog coming up. The second blog, the main blog is the Brummet's Conscious blog, and that's been going for over 20 years now. It's for about 18 years. It was a daily blog, if you can believe it. And yes, that was exhausting. And now we're every 3 to 4 days we're publishing on it now. We sort of reworked that blog, but it offers all kinds of information for writers and entrepreneurs. And in general, people who want to find a way to discover more positivity in the world, who are looking for ways to feel like they can make a difference, a positive difference. Our blog is all about that. We embrace that. So yes, those are the two blogs. Now the Brummet's Conscious blog, it has a minimum of 20,000 views a month. And maximum, our highest was like, I don't know, 240, 260, something like that, 260,000 in a month. But on average, it's more like in the 20,000.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't even know blogging was around that long because I remember hearing it. I can't remember when I first heard about it, but it was in the 20 whatever. I don't remember what year it was, but
When it really started kicking in, that's right. Well, we started in the early days, back in the MySpace days. We
okay.
had our blog over there, remember that? Yeah, so that was a long, long time ago. And then we eventually moved over to the platform that we're on now, which is blogspot.com. And that's the one that we've been on ever since. We've just really been happy with that platform, and it seems to be working for us.
Very good. Yeah. Now, as an entrepreneur, what is it you do?
Okay, so the Brummet Media Group is kind of like an umbrella. It encompasses our writing, our publishing, our writing services, our drum services, and performances, repairs. So it covers everything that we do, which is allowing us as an entrepreneur to be flexible.
Yeah.
Where's the demand? Where do we need to move our business in order to keep it sustainable? We can do that without feeling like we're fixed because our name has isolated us to this one particular service. So I really like that aspect of it. The main aspects, two aspects, are of course our book publishing career. We publish our own books, and we try to release a new book every 2 years or so,
Wow.
depending on schedule and whether we're moving or not. But that's roughly our publication schedule, and all the marketing and the work that goes in behind that. Besides that is Dave's drum studio activities. So he teaches workshops, he facilitates drum circles, he repairs drums and percussion. He actually runs an outlet of Brummet Media Group that is our nonprofit service, and that's where he goes into schools and homeschools and various other music programs where they may not have the funds to have someone come in and help them set up their gear properly, or learn how to use an instrument properly, or do any repairs to that instrument. So he can come in and like refurbish their music room from top to bottom and get them going again with a fresh start for their next season, which is something he enjoys doing.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I'm just Googling your name because I
That's
just
great.
realized, people can Google. It makes such a big difference now when you can just Google people's name and get all kinds of information or how to contact them, right?
Yes.
So I just want to see what would come up when I did that lately. There you go. Okay, your name popped up right away for some reason. Okay, so that's pretty.
Yes.
I think that's really.
Yes, and you'll find like pages and pages and pages of information when you do a search like that, just an open search. It'll bring you to like interviews like this that we've been a part of, and all kinds of things will pop up. So I encourage people to do that. It'll be, pull up some fun stuff.
Yeah, well, I was curious. I Googled myself just for fun one day, and it's like, oh,
Right.
there's me on doing an interview with my sister Marie. How cool was that?
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
So I contacted her and I said, Google your name, Marie.
Mhm.
Excited like, oh my
Well,
God.
as an entrepreneur, that's a really important thing to do too, because, your name is everything. So you get to see what people are saying, about you, or commenting about you, or mentioning you somewhere. That's really important to keep up on that. But also you get to find some hidden exposure that maybe you didn't know was out yet or something like that, right? Because sometimes you lose contact with someone in your connection list and you've done something with them, or you had mentioned that some networking was going to happen and you don't know if that ever happened on their end, and you haven't had time to, touch base with them yet, or maybe you forgot. And a Google search or an internet search will reveal some of those hidden things. And it's like, oh, well, there was an interview last month. Oh, cool. I'm going to go out and start promoting it and listen to it or something.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
I'm just wondering what people, well, some technical people contact me quite a bit and they say, I can help you with your YouTube channel. You're not getting enough views, whatever. Now, I don't get paid for what I do, so I always say, sorry, I can't afford to pay anybody. But I was just wondering if people do that with you and your husband.
Well, I think there's a lot of services out there that are hungry for clients. And so as soon as they see that you might fit into their genre of services, they're going to hit you up with a query. I think that's pretty standard now, and it's
Oh,
done more easily because we put our contact information out there because we want people to connect with us of a certain genre. And so they utilize that information, they find it, they utilize it. And, kudos for them for being, having that entrepreneur spirit,
sure.
but it can come across as like unwanted solicitation. So you have to be very, very careful with that kind of cold calling, that cold networking or cold knocking on the door. I mean, that can be a little bit of a tender balance to manage, but kudos for them for trying.
Yeah.
Yes, we get it. There'll be people that would say like, we let go of our website actually because we just found that all our other platforms were just working so much better for it
Mhm.
that we just didn't need to continue to pay to maintain this website. And
Right.
so we just thought, you know what? We're just going to let that go. One more thing off our to-do list, and we're going to focus on the things that we know are working, which is unusual because usually it's the other way around. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we went where the flow is. We went with what's working. And you make those decisions with, data driven. So do your research, make sure you know your stuff. You're not making just an assumption. Make sure you really are making data driven decisions if you're going to do that. But that's what we decided to do. Prior to that, though, we used to get quite a few people contacting us about our website, and they were saying, "Oh, we could optimize it better. We could,
Yeah.
get you more, Google analytics or ratings or whatever, and all of that." And that wasn't exactly our focus. So, we didn't, so I think that there's a lot of people out there that are trying hard to make their own entrepreneur dreams come true.
Well, the way I figure it is like I've not said that to a number of them. Like, hey, if you can figure a way to do it and pay yourself, then go for it because I can't pay you. You know,
Right. Right.
nobody's ever figured that out yet.
No.
But
No.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, I do again. I'm like you. I do applaud anybody who's trying to make that a go of things in whatever genre it is, right?
Right.
So we just want to remind everybody now you have an ebook,
Mhm.
and so in paperback as well as hardcover,
That's right.
which is really
Yes.
good, yeah, for sure. And wait a minute, now we have something else. Okay, so you have Dave's father is he wrote the first series of books that was titled Sentinel on the Hill.
That, okay. So Sentinel on the Hill. Yeah, that is a poem in his book.
Oh, okay. So
So
yeah,
I
okay.
could read it to you if you
Oh,
like.
yes, please.
Sentinel on the Hill, page 180. I'm looking at the book right now. So 180, 180, 180, 180. See how fast I can turn the pages. There we are. Okay, I'll read it right now. Sentinel on the Hill. Author's note: a majestic pine once stood on the western slope of Knox Mountain. This is in Kelowna, BC. Vandals killed this beautiful tree in 1967, and this is his poem in lament of that tree. High on the hill in the morning shade, an Indian boy and an Indian maid sat with hands and hearts entwined and pledged their love to a seedling pine. Strong as the pine, their love would grow through summer and sun and winter snow until their bones be dust and their spirits free. Still, that love would live in the sentinel tree. The year was 1832. The sun was warm, the sky was blue, and the little tree stretched its roots and grew. The priest gazed down on the open plain, fresh and green from the summer rain. Willow thickets hid the timid deer where tiny creek flowed cool and clear. Far to the south, a thin smoke curled, marking his home in this strange new world. And the midday ringing of the mission bell told him that all was secure and all was well. The year was 1863. Thank you, Lord, for choosing me, he prayed as he knelt by a slim pine tree. The young girl stood in the sunset glow, looking through tears at her world below. Her wedding day would never come, for young men must answer the distant drum. In a faraway land, he spread his blood, whispered his name as he died in the mud. All through the night, the young girl cried. The sentinel understood and sighed. The year was 1917. The sun still shone, the grass was green, but her world was dead and cold and mean. In the spring, on a moonless night, the old trees shuddered from the axe's bite. The ring of death was deep all around, and the lifeblood sap bled to the ground. The midnight breeze felt icy cold as this creeping numbness slowly took hold. While far away on another hill, an Indian grave stirred once and was still. The year was 1967. Senseless madmen, devil driven. Surely God saw and frowned in heaven. Time marches on into history, and now, as far as the eye can see, the tall buildings rise to fill the sky. Hour on hour, the giant jets fly. Gone are the trees. From the cluttered plain, the wild birds will never sing here again. The nearby lake is green with slime. Old men say it was blue at one time. The year is 2039. The smog is thick. It makes men blind. There's no room left for a seedling pine.
Wow. Wow.
Sad, right? It
Yeah.
makes me choked up every time I read it.
Well, it's so powerful.
Oh, yes.
And it's so oh, you know the word I'm trying to say.
Yes, that one.
Have trouble with that one. But I think we're going to end it there because I think
Okay.
that's a good spot to end it. Just
Okay.
stay on camera, please. So to the audience, you've been listening to Lillian Brummet. To find out more from her, just Google her name and her books of poetry, everything she does will come up, and as well as her husband Dave, who's going to be on the show in the future. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you continue to do so. Take care, everybody, and peace out. Whoops, I went the wrong way for the off button. It's going to continue, even though I ended it, it's going to continue to record, so I won't talk too long, but
Okay.
thanks again, Lillian. It was really nice. I loved hearing that poem, by the way.
Oh,
As
cool. Thank you.
bad as it is, I really loved
Mm.
hearing it, because it's kind of interesting because I've been getting emails from an Indigenous people, and they're apparently in mission.
Mhm.
A group of somebody from representing the church was there at the graves of the children and doing this whatever ceremony, and the elders are so upset about all of that happening.
Mm.
So I've been trying to post some of that on Facebook, but some of it Facebook won't let me do. But anyway, so I was just saying what that poem is just so fitting right now.
Right.
Anyway, thank you again for doing this. As I said,
Yes.
here, whatever day I told you.
September 9th. I wrote it down.
Okay, thanks. Thanks again. And anytime
Yeah.
you want to come back on, let me know.
Fantastic. Thank you so
Maybe,
much.
maybe you and your husband together next time.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, after his interview, maybe something like that, where we could do like a couple, and that
Yeah.
would be cool. I don't think we've ever done that.
All
Yeah.
right. So let's make that something to do. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Lily.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.